Talk about another blessing. Thank you. I love hearing Asha sing. Thank you so much. And the harpsichord, yes. You know, it's funny because when he started playing it, I thought, oh, what a lovely instrument. If you had said, what instrument is that? And put a gun to my head, I'd have said, pull the trigger. I have no idea. But it was beautiful. Thank you. So, we are continuing our holiday series on the symbols of the season. We remain in Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah to all. For those who were not here last week, you missed something so cute. We had the lighting of the candle, the Hanukkah candle, with Spencer and his dad and Tina. And I taped it. It's up on YouTube. So whoever wants to see these three lighting the holiday candle and singing, it is really cute. We're going to put it hopefully up on our website, and you'll see it. It was really wonderful. So last week we talked about lights, about the significance of lights, about the presence of light in our lives and in our hearts. And today I want to talk about giving, because it is the season of giving. I want to talk about the act of giving. I want to talk about the meaning of giving in faith traditions. I want to explore its history, its meaning, and what awareness it can bring to us. To me, and this is what I want to focus on in this talk, giving is the reflection and the extension of all that we have been given. Giving is a natural outgrowth of the gratitude and the joy we feel from being showered with abundance by Spirit. We have the natural urge to give. So I want to expand the discussion beyond the exchange of gifts, even though that's the emphasis we see around us. I learned this year about Christmas creep. Does anybody out there know what Christmas creep is? It's not a guy wandering around your neighborhood. Christmas creep is when retailers start turning on their lights and decorating and selling Christmas stuff even earlier than normal. You know me with my talks, I do all sorts of bizarre research. So I did some research into retailing. I learned that holiday sales are a huge part of a retailer's year, from anywhere from 19 if you're a jewelry store up to 30%. It's a huge part of your year. But every year it starts a little earlier. This year it started like the day after Halloween.
Yes.
Do you guys remember that?
Yes.
I mean, literally, the kids were taking off their costumes and they're Santa Claus. I'm thinking, please, give me a rest. But that is Christmas creep. However, giving at this time of year is so much more than that. It's also a time of increased kindness, charity, what some call felicity, which is happiness and joy. As Charles Dickens wrote in his Christmas Carol classic, A Christmas Carol, it's the only time in the long calendar of the year when men and women seem by one consent to open their shut-up hearts freely and to think of people below them as if they were really fellow passengers to the grave and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. Now, because you know that I'm me and I love trivia, who can tell me who said that in A Christmas Carol? Anybody? It's a line spoken by, it was the nephew when he's lecturing his uncle. That's when he says, I will always love Christmas. It's that speech. The one time of year when men and women seem by one consent to open up their shut-up hearts. So I want to talk a little bit more about gift giving. And I also have a little more trivia for you because trivia is fun. You may not know that the tradition of gift giving has not always been such a large part of the Christmas holidays. Did you know that? You know that Christmas, many of our holidays, including Christmas, grew out of other celebrations from earlier traditions. It's not until the 4th century, about 353 CE, that Pope Julius I chose December 21st as Christmas, just picked it. And he picked it because it was the last day of the Roman holiday of Saturnalia, which ran from December 17th to December 25th. And he just decided that if he was going to convert these peoples to Christianity, he didn't need to come up with a new holiday. He needed to give them a holiday they already had. So he picked one of their favorites, which was Saturnalia, and he stuck the birth of Jesus on the very last day. Really, I'm not making this up. I mean, the theory is people who have actually researched this, they actually think Jesus was born in March, which would make him a Pisces, which kind of makes sense. Right? Okay. starts here. All right. So the church was hoping to replace this pagan holiday with the new Christian holiday. The problem was that the holiday of Saturnalia was nothing but a huge naked party. I mean, it was anything but what we think of our Christian. I mean, I think faces back there. Oh my God. Yes, I mean, they were drinking, they were feasting, they were singing naked in the streets, which I read is the beginning of our tradition of caroling. Okay. We are going to have a little caroling announcement later. I don't want this to dissuade you from signing up. We are going to have the more traditional form of caroling, which involves clothes. So please join us. So they would run, they would dance, they would feast, they would drink themselves under the table, they would stay up all night, and it was basically like something out of Animal House. Okay, so the early Christian church somewhat frowned on this. But it was the only thing they could do to really get these folks to sign on to this holiday. But as time went on, the Christmas traditions as embodied in Saturnalia kind of fell out of favor, so the holiday fell out of favor. And for a while in the Massachusetts colonies, it was even banned. You weren't allowed to have Christmas because it was just too debauched. So the custom of gift giving during the holiday season kind of dropped off because the holiday kind of fell off the planet for a while. However, the tradition of Christmas as we now know it, as we now celebrate it, was really revived by, does anybody know? The Victorians. I love this. People think oh my God, Melanie's giving a talk, I've got to read something so that I can answer these questions. It was really revived by the Victorians, assisted by, or many say prompted by, Charles Dickens, who gave us that classic A Christmas Carol. It was the Victorians who reoriented the holiday to a celebration of family, children, kindness, felicity, openness, gift-giving, and the more sedate kind of family-oriented traditions that we associate today with Christmas. Now, back to my topic. One of the emphases of Victorian Christmases was gift-giving. In the Victorian view, the act of giving was much more important than the gift itself. The giving of a gift was a way to express love, kindness, caring. A great deal of thought went into not only the selection of the gift, but how the gift was given. Okay, I'm about to give you some very cool gift-giving ideas. One of the things that they would do would be called cobweb parties. Okay, what they would do is every member of the family, or whoever was in the party, would be assigned a color of yarn, a color. They would then take each gift and attach it to a particular color of yarn and wind up all the yarn in a room. You would just walk in and it would be like something out of the Lord of the Rings when he's in the cave, just all this stuff all over the place. And you would have to take your yarn and trace it through all the other yarn to your gift. It was a party game. How fun is that? I know, so the act of finding your gift became a time of conviviality, of celebration, of fun. It wasn't just a case of what we see now, if your family's anything like mine, with people going up to a box of, a bunch of boxes and just kind of ripping through them until they get to something they like. It was people are like, what is this about your family? No. But, especially kids, now the point was the ceremony or the joy of getting to the gift. Actually, let me tell you one funny family story. I think I've told you this story before, but my kids used to do that. They would get a stack of gifts, and they would just kind of power through them to see what the next one was. Am I the only family that has experienced this? Please, show of hands. Okay, thank you. I feel better.
Our dog Tucker did that Friday night.
Okay, good. Good, I feel better. Anyway, we decided that our daughter Catherine was not being polite, because if she got something she didn't like, she would show it. She would show it. She would, I don't like that color. I have one. I wanted this. Okay. So we decided, instead of just saying, don't say that, we decided to teach her the right thing to say. So we taught her to say, whenever she got anything, Catherine, this is what you say. Thank you. I like it very much. And we would practice with her. Thank you. I like it very much. So one day somebody handed her a shirt box. It was a white box. And she says, thank you, I like it very much. We said, Catherine, you can open it. But she had the right thing going. Because she, what I tell myself is she liked the fact that somebody made an effort, bought her a present, and at the end of the day, it didn't matter what it was. Thank you, I like it very much. That's always cracking me up. So, cobweb parties. Another tradition the Victorians had is they would have a Christmas pie. This is a bit of a dangerous tradition. If you have crowns or dentures, do not play this game. But they would hide small gifts in the Christmas pie, and everybody would take a bite. I'm not making this up. And if you found a gift, when you took a bite, it was yours. Now, that's a fun game for a family, for a community. Anyway, the point is, it wasn't just giving somebody a gift. It was people are thinking dental hygiene out the window. But it wasn't just rushing out 2 days before Christmas. Oh, I got to get Mom a gift. I got to get, no. They put care into it. They put themselves into it. They put their hearts into it. So, one of my favorite stories around the holiday time that focuses on giving is O. Henry's The Gift of the Magi. Do y'all know that story? It is a wonderful, wonderful, heartwarming story. O. Henry, who actually was an author named William Sidney Porter, has given us a wonderful tale of love, of Christmas giving, of sacrificial giving, and profound love. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about the gift of the Magi. It takes place in a small, dingy apartment called a flat, occupied by a young couple named Della and Jim. They're pretty young because the story tells us that Jim is just 22. It's the day before Christmas. Della is alone in this small, dingy flat where nothing works. O. Henry tells us that the letterbox is too small for the letters, the bell doesn't ring, everything is gray. He talks about a gray cat walking on a gray fence out in the gray backyard. But he contrasts that with the love and the light in the hearts of these two people inside this small, dingy flat. So the next day was Christmas. Della only had $1.87 with which to buy Jim a gift. She had been saving pennies for months. 60 cents of this was actually in pennies. She had planned and dreamed to buy him the perfect gift because he was the perfect husband. He was quiet, he was unassuming, he was strong, he was just wonderful. She wanted to get the perfect gift for him. Have you ever felt that way about somebody? You just think and you dream, what gift can show my love for this person? Her problem was she just had $1.87. Not enough. So in the story, she throws herself down on the couch and starts crying. O. Henry writes that her crying, quote, instigates the moral reflection that life is made up of sobs, sniffles, and smiles, with sniffles predominating. I love that line. So Della gets up, she dries her tears, and she finds herself in front of the small hallway mirror. And she lets down her hair, which is beautiful. It's brown, it's dark, it's thick, and it falls to below her knees. It is one of the family's two prized possessions, is Della's beautiful hair. You get the impression that she has never cut it. She gets an idea, she puts on her old brown coat, she puts on her old brown hat, and she heads for the door. Before she gets to the door, she, quote, faltered for a minute and stood still, while a tear or two splashed on the worn red carpet. Do we know where Della's going? Mm-hmm. Yeah. She goes and she sells her hair for $20 so that she can buy Jim a present which is worthy, as the story calls, of being owned by him. So with her $20, she canvasses the store. She's looking for the perfect gift, and she finds it in a jewelry store. She finds this beautiful, simple, plain platinum gold chain for the other possession this family has of their two wonderful, most highly prized possessions was Jim's pocket watch. It came down to him from his father and from his father's father. So she finds the perfect watch chain, because up until then he didn't have one. It was on an old leather strap. She buys it. It costs $21. She knows it is the exact right present. She goes home with 87 cents. So Jim arrives home at 7. He walks in the door and he does not understand what has happened. Have you ever had those situations where you just can't comprehend it? He says, you sold your hair, you sold, where's your hair? He's looking around the apartment like he's going to jump out of the closet. You sold it. And she says, Jim, it's gone. She says, you may be able to count the number of hairs on my head, but you cannot count my love for you. And so what Jim does is he pulls his present for her out of his pocket, and it's what she has longed for and wanted. It's some beautiful combs, which would have looked beautiful in her hair. They're beautifully made, they're bejeweled. They would have been a wonderful ornament to her long and lovely hair, which is gone. And so Della has a choice. And what she chooses is to receive the love with which that gift was made. She clasps the combs to her and she says, Jim, they are beautiful. I love them. My hair grows so fast. And she knows that she's going to be able to use them. And even more, she loves what he has done for her, buying that beautiful present. And then she says, Jim, your present. And so she runs off and she shows him the watch chain that she has bought. And she says, Jim, now you're going to have to show your watch 100 times a day to people because you've got this beautiful watch chain. Take out your watch, Jim. Take out your watch. Guess what? Yeah. He smiles. He says, Del, let's put these up for a while. I sold the watch to buy your combs. And he's smiling because that was not the gift. He says, let's just put these up. We'll use them later. Let's just have dinner. So what has happened here? Each of them has sacrificed the thing they love most to give the other a wonderful present. However, each present is now useless. They can't use them. But it doesn't matter. Because what the story teaches us is the gift was in the heartfelt giving. In the love, in the care, in the effort, and the focus, and the devotion each put in to picking that wonderful present, even if it involves selling the most precious thing they had. The gift survived because the gift was the giving itself. Better than any item or any amount of money. This is how O. Henry ends the story. Harking back to the title, The Gift of the Magi. The Magi, as you know, were wise men, wonderfully wise men, who brought gifts to the babe in the manger. Being wise, their gifts were no doubt wise ones, possibly bearing the privilege of exchange in case of duplication. And here I have lamely related to you the uneventful chronicle of two foolish children in a flat, who most unwisely sacrificed for each other the greatest treasures of their house. But in a last word to the wise of these days, let it be said that of all who give gifts, these two were the wisest. Of all who give and receive gifts, such as they are wisest. Everywhere, they are the wisest. They are the Magi. So why is this story given the title that it is, The Gift of the Magi? We all know the story of the Magi, or a great many of us do. It's told in Matthew chapter 12. And it begins with three wise men, or astrologers they're sometimes called, arriving in Jerusalem from the east, asking where the child is, seeing a star in the heavens, following it to where it stops, right above the place where the child is. They were overwhelmed with joy. They enter the house, they kneel down, they pay him homage. They adore the child. And out of this adoration, out of this love, they offer him the gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Okay, do those gifts really mean anything to that child? No. But they're an outgrowth. They're the product of the love that those three wise men had for this very special being that they believed was the Savior of the Jews, that they believed was chosen of God. That was the gift of the Magi, that they had given of themselves. They had traveled far to acknowledge, to adore this child at the risk to themselves, because Herod had planned, had told them to go find this child, and then had told them to go back and tell him where the child was so that they could kill it. And they didn't. They had a dream, and they left and went home by another way. But their gift, much like in the O. Henry story, was not the thing itself. It was the gift of giving of themselves, their heart, and their love. The gift, the physical gift, was an acknowledgement of what already had been given. So our reading today teaches us that giving is an act which generates something when it is given. The act of giving generates an energy between two people. It creates something new. When you truly give of yourself, the world expands, a bit of goodness is brought forth, and a small miracle occurs. This is not just true in the Christian faith tradition. When I was researching this talk, I also learned in the Hindu tradition of the concept of dana. Has anybody ever heard of that? It's incorporated in the concept of dharma, but it has to do with giving. It teaches us that giving merits the giver and the receiver. It brings light and wisdom and merit to both the giver and the receiver. The Upanishads teach give. Give with faith. Give with sensitivity. Give with a feeling of abundance. Any faith tradition you study is going to incorporate the joy of giving. Whatever it is, whether it's the zakat or I think in the Jewish tradition, zadikah is the concept of giving, the obligation to give, the obligation to open your heart to others. Sometimes it's to others in need, but often it's just to others. To share your abundance with others who may not have it. Often, the giving changes the giver in ways you cannot anticipate. I have a story about that. My wife, Deborah, years ago sponsored a child through Christian Children's Fund, which is now Child Fund. You know, you can send off a certain amount of money and you support children around the world. She was supporting a little boy in Kenya. And at the holidays, she had the opportunity to send him some money for a Christmas present. So she sent him $25. And she sent him a card, buy yourself a nice gift. And she thought that he was going to buy himself some clothes or maybe some presents for his family. He was about 8 or 9. He wrote her a long letter back thanking her so much for the gift and telling her that with her money he had bought a cow because his family was so poor that they needed that to survive. And so he had taken her money and he had used it for them. And he had purchased a cow. She was just undone because she viewed that gift in the light of the way we often view gifts. We're going to give money and you can go buy yourself something nice. And he made a life-changing decision for his family and for his community. She probably sent him money for 4 more cows, God knows. But it doesn't matter. But she has never forgotten that. It changed her. It just opened her heart and made her see a whole different part of life that she had not seen. The compassion and the wide open, loving heart of that little boy. And how he had taken $25, which I'm sure is more than he had ever seen, and used it for his family and for his community. So giving between them became a connection. It became something that changed them both, even across a planet. So these stories teach us the power of giving other than physical gifts. Giving of ourselves, our compassion, our time, changes us in profound ways. I mean, I remember, here I am, 1,000,000 years old, I remember when I was a kid, I had a math teacher. And I don't even know why I remember this, but I was terrible in math, and so for an entire summer, she tutored me for free out of her free time so that I would be able to pass math. It's a small thing, but her kindness, she showed up. I'm looking at Tina here, who's also a teacher. She showed up every day with lemonade that she made. That was just the best I've ever tasted, just for me. And the gift of her time and her caring and her love, she was what we called in those days an old maid. She had never married. She just lived to teach. She was funny. Her name was Ruth Dickens. She was funny. She was loving. She would take any kind of comment. One time, I don't know, I was too young to be tactful. What a shocker. And we were sitting in a group one day, and she was telling us a story about her younger sister and how beautiful, how pretty her younger sister was. And I looked up at her and I said, Miss Dickens, were you ever pretty? I just wanted to know. And she just laughed because she thought it was hysterical. I didn't know that I was hurting her feelings, but that's the kind of person she was. She could take stuff like that and just laugh. She was just wonderful. A wide open, loving heart who made it a practice to give of herself. That is the spirit of giving that I invite us all to focus on this holiday season. In preparing this talk, I had the really good luck to run across a book called Being Generous by a guy named Theodore Roosevelt Malloch, M-A-L-L-O-C-H. I really recommend it. It's very short. It's wonderful. What it does is it contains a lot of stories of people who give, whether they're philanthropists or not so wealthy, but it just talks about giving. It talks about the benefits of generosity to our souls. He writes that generosity, the spirit and the need to give, is inherent in the human soul, and it's the source of our greatest joy. True giving is based in compassion, the desire to reach out and connect with and benefit others. His book is just full of stories of wonderful people who gave and gave more than they could to make lives better for someone else. He also offers reflection on the nature of generosity, and he talks about it in the context of different faith traditions around the world. In one chapter, Mr. Malloch reflects on the nature of giving as an extension of the ultimate gift that we have been given. And this is what I referenced at the beginning of the talk. Because it is our greatest joy, it is our essence. Our giving, our desire to give and connect and love and support is a reflection of the ultimate gift which is given to us, which is our lives and our consciousness and the abundance that is showered upon us. The spirit of giving is just an extension of the fact that we have been given so much already, that we are so blessed already. We believe in the flow. We believe that what we give comes back. When we give, we are giving as stewards. We are not giving as custodians. We are giving because so much has been given to us. And that is what ignites our joy. That is what gives us purpose and meaning. Our gratitude for the gifts which have been given to us naturally extends in a desire to pass them to others, to connect, to just spread the candle of our joy out beyond our own circle to others. Have you not found that to be true? The ultimate gift we have been given is all we have and all we are, because we know that Spirit is the source of all. So our giving is just a reflection of that, whether it's our money, whether it's our time, whether it's our talent, whether it's our wisdom. We are not the creators of the gift. We are the channels of the gift. We are the ones who keep the gift moving. There's a Nigerian saying that, and I'm paraphrasing, but it goes, the heart is the source of the gift. The fingers merely let go. Yeah, we just let it go. We just don't get in the way. So I'd like to close with a quote from Khalil Gibran from the Prophet, who writes, "You often say, I would give, but only to the deserving. The trees in your orchard say, not so, nor the flocks in your pasture. Surely he who is worthy to receive his days and nights is worthy of all else from you. And he who has deserved to drink from the ocean of life deserves to fill his cup from your little stream. See first that you yourself deserve to be a giver and an instrument of giving. For in truth it is life that gives unto life, while you who deem yourself a giver are but a witness." Let's take these thoughts into meditation.